All right, so today we're diving into something pretty powerful, huh? We've got this passage from Matthew chapter 8, verses 23 through 27, and this reflection that goes along with it, specifically for March 20th. And I think what we really want to unpack here is how this ancient story and this modern interpretation can kind of speak to us about dealing with the tough stuff, the storms that come up in our own lives.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this passage, it's pretty familiar to a lot of folks. Jesus and his disciples are out on the lake, and this huge storm just comes out of nowhere.
And these weren't just weekend boaters, right? These guys were fishermen, like this was their life. But this storm, it's described as just something else, something they'd never encountered before.
Exactly. So naturally, they freak out. And it's interesting because they wake Jesus up, and it's almost like they're saying, "Don't you even care that we're about to drown here?"
Yeah, there's definitely this sense of panic, right? Like, help us out here. But then Jesus, he responds with this line that I think can be a bit tricky. You have little faith. Why are you so afraid? And I think that's where things get interesting. Because in a moment like that, facing what seems like real danger, is fear really a sign of weak faith? What are we supposed to understand from that?
Right. And that's where the reflection, I think, offers a really helpful perspective. You see, what it suggests is that even when we're hit with these huge storms in our lives, those unexpected crises, the overwhelming pressures, there's something deeper going on beneath the surface. Remember, the disciples had Jesus right there in the boat with them.
So are you saying their fear was keeping them from really seeing that?
That's exactly what this reflection implies. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like their fear was blinding them to that presence, to that source of peace that was right there in the middle of all the chaos.
So it's not about ignoring the storm or pretending it's not happening, but more about where we choose to focus our attention.
Exactly. And that's where this idea comes in, that even when things feel totally out of control, there's still a possibility of finding some sense of peace, some sense of control within ourselves.
And that makes me think about those times in my own life when things have gotten really rough. I mean, what's my initial reaction? Do I get totally consumed by that fear, by that immediate sense of threat? Or is there a part of me, even just a small part, that can still recognize something bigger, something grounding, even in the middle of all that?
And I think that's a really important question for all of us to ask ourselves. It gets right to the heart of this takeaway from the reflection, this idea of choosing faith over fear. It's not about denying the difficulty, but about actively leaning into that sense of stability, whatever that might look like for each of us.
Right, because that stability, that sense of something solid, it can come from different places, right? It could be a spiritual belief, some kind of inner strength, even just the support of a community around us. And that actually connects beautifully to the prayer that's included. Lord, I trust you, even in life's storms. Amen.
It's short, but so powerful, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's like a direct acknowledgement of that choice, that conscious decision to place our trust in something beyond the immediate circumstances, even when everything around us is urging us to panic.
And I think that brings up a really crucial point for everyone listening right now. I mean, think about the challenges you're facing right now, those personal storms in your own life. How does knowing that there might be a calming presence, whatever form that takes for you, how does that knowledge actually change how you respond to those challenges? What practical things can you actually do to build that sense of faith in the middle of all the turmoil?
It's about recognizing that even when the waves are crashing all around us, there might still be a deeper anchor available to us if we can just reach for it.
Exactly. And for you listening, what if you actually made a conscious effort to seek out that calming presence the next time you find yourself in a storm? How might that shift your whole perspective, your whole response? Something to really think about as we all navigate our own deep waters. Thanks for joining me on this exploration.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure to dive into these topics.
It's been a good one.